A millionaire stranded in the desert. A little black girl with grease on her hands. And a silver ring that would unlock a family secret buried for over a decade. She fixed his engine in minutes, but when he looked at her hand, everything changed. What he did next left her mother in tears, and the internet speechless. The Nevada sun scorched the pavement like a furnace. Waves of heat shimmered off the blacktop, and the only sound was the hiss of a stalled engine and the slow ticking of cooling metal. Paul Langford, a silver-haired millionaire in a tailored gray suit, stood beside his gleaming 1968 red Mustang, sweat trailing down his brow. He kicked a rock in frustration. No cell signal. No cars in sight. Just miles of open road, mountains in the distance, and a dead engine. "This is just great," he muttered, slamming the hood shut again. His Mustang, the pride of his collection, had broken down in the middle of nowhere. He was returning from a celebrity charity event in Las Vegas, and now, stranded and helpless, the desert was starting to feel like a trap. Then, out of the heat haze, a figure began to appear, small, walking straight down the highway. For a moment, Paul thought it might be a hallucination, but the figure got closer. It was a young girl, 10, maybe 11, her skin glowing under the sun, curls bouncing with each step. She wore a grease-stained orange jumpsuit that hung slightly loose like it once belonged to someone bigger. Strapped across her back was a worn-out backpack. She stopped at the front of the car, eyed the smoking engine, then looked up at Paul with a calm, serious face. "Looks like your radiator's boiling over," she said, folding her arms. Paul blinked. "Excuse me?" The girl didn't flinch. "Pop the hood again. I can help." "Who are you?" she shrugged. "Just Maya. I fix stuff." And with that she stepped forward like she had done this 100 times before. Paul hesitated, unsure whether to laugh, refuse, or simply faint from heat stroke. Was this girl serious? Fixing a classic Mustang in the middle of the desert? She couldn't have weighed more than 70 pounds. But Maya didn't wait for permission. She climbed onto the bumper like it was second nature, propped the hood open again, and peered deep into the engine. "Looks like the coolant hose is loose. Could have caused a steam lock," she said, pulling out a small wrench from her backpack without even looking at Paul. Paul just stared. "You really know what you're doing?" She glanced at him with a smirk. "My mom says I was born with engine grease in my veins. I fix cars for neighbors back home, not Mustangs usually. But engines speak the same language." Her hands moved, swiftly checking hoses, tightening clamps, adjusting wiring like a seasoned mechanic. Paul noticed she wasn't guessing. She was diagnosing, confident, calm, not a moment of hesitation. He couldn't help but kneel beside her, trying to follow what she was doing. "Where'd you learn all this?" he asked, still half in disbelief. "Books, internet, YouTube. Took apart my first engine at 8, put it back together a week later, mostly trial and error. My mom's car breaks down a lot." Paul let out a laugh, shaking his head in awe. "You're something else." Maya glanced up, wiping her brow with the back of her wrist. "Try the ignition." He climbed into the seat and turned the key. The Mustang coughed, then growled to life, purring like a lion finally fed. Paul stepped out slowly, staring at the little girl who just resurrected his prized car from the dead. "You're a genius," he said, his voice filled with wonder. Maya simply shrugged. But when she reached down to pack her tools, something on her hand caught Paul's eye and changed everything. As Maya zipped her backpack, Paul's eyes caught a flash of silver on her hand. A ring-worn but elegant sat on her smallest finger. It looked oddly familiar. He leaned in slightly, squinting. "Hey, that ring," he said softly. "May I see it?" Maya hesitated for the first time. She looked at him carefully, then held out her hand. It wasn't just any ring. It was a silver band, aged by time, engraved with an old, swirling crest-a-lion beneath a crown with tiny initials carved inside. Paul's heart stopped. He swallowed hard, hands trembling as he took a closer look. Where did you get this?" Maya pulled her hand back gently. "It was my dad's," she said. "My mom gave it to me when he passed. Said it's all she had left of him." Paul's knees felt weak. That ring wasn't just familiar. It was one of 3 ever made. His father had one, he had the second. And his older brother Michael Langford had the third. The brother who disappeared over a decade ago, walking away from the business, the family, the wealth, everything. No one ever heard from him again. Paul's voice quivered. What was your father's name, Maya? She looked confused. Michael. Michael Langford. My mom says he left behind all the money and noise to live simple. He got sick when I was little. I barely remember him. Paul's breath caught in his chest. He staggered back a step, staring at the little girl in front of him, his niece. This tiny, brilliant mechanic fixing cars on dusty roads was his brother's daughter. He knelt slowly, tears forming in his eyes. I think I'm your uncle, Maya. She blinked, stunned. And in that moment, under the desert sun and the rumble of the old Mustang, the past came rushing back with all its heartbreak, mystery, and unexpected hope. For a moment, Maya didn't speak. She just stared at Paul, this strange man who'd broken down on a lonely highway now claiming to be her uncle. The word echoed in her head like a whisper in a canyon. Uncle? Paul nodded, his voice thick with emotion. Your dad, Michael, he was my big brother. We grew up together, built a business together, and then one day he vanished. No goodbye, no explanation. I searched for him for years. Now, here you are. Maya stepped back slightly, unsure. Her mother had never told her much. Just that her father had been a good man who didn't belong to the noise of the world. He loved old things, books, music, machines. He wanted peace, not power. I thought maybe he left because he didn't love us, Maya said softly. Paul's heart shattered. No, Maya, Michael didn't run from you. He ran from the weight of everything. He wanted a life that made sense to him. But he loved fiercely. That ring, he wore it every day when we were boys. Maya looked down at her hand. The ring glinted in the sun. So, that means you're really... Yes, I'm your uncle. And you're my family. She didn't cry. She stood still for a beat, processing it all in her brave, quiet way. Then she stepped forward and hugged him tight, sudden, without a word. Paul froze, then wrapped his arms around her. You don't know how long I've waited to find a piece of him again. She smiled against his chest. I think maybe he sent you. The wind picked up softly. In the background, the Mustang purred, alive again, like it too had found its way home. Paul looked out toward the horizon and whispered to the wind, Thank you, Michael. The Mustang rolled smoothly into the quiet town where Maya lived, a small, dusty place with rusted mailboxes, one diner, and more pickup trucks than people. As they pulled up in front of a modest trailer home, Maya's mother stepped out, drying, her hands on a rag, her eyes narrowing cautiously at the expensive car. Paul stepped out first, unsure how to start. But when Maya ran into her mother's arms and breathlessly said, Mama, he's my Uncle Daddy's brother, the woman froze. Her lips parted, but no words came. Paul approached slowly. I'm Paul Langford, he said, voice low. Your husband, Michael. He was my brother? I didn't know he had a daughter. I didn't know he was gone. Tears welled in her eyes. He didn't want that world anymore, she said. He was tired. He just wanted peace. I tried to protect Maya from all that, but it looks like fate had other plans. Paul nodded. She's special, brilliant. Michael would be proud. From that day forward, everything changed. Paul didn't try to buy them a new life. Instead, he helped Maya get tools, books, and scholarships. He visited often, not as a millionaire, but as family watching over the niece he never knew existed, cheering her on from the sidelines as she entered science fairs, fixed engines at age 12, and taught local boys how to change spark plugs without damaging the threads. The world soon found out about the little girl who fixed a millionaire's car. News stories, local reporters, even college professors reached out. But Maya never let it get to her head. She still wore her father's ring, still fixed things with her own 2 hands. And every time she looked under a hood, she whispered, This one's for you, Dad, because family isn't always about where you come from. Sometimes it's what you rebuild together. In a world where so many people drive past without looking back, One little girl reminded us that heart, talent, and family can show up in the most unexpected places. Maya didn't just fix a car, she repaired a bond that was lost for years. And sometimes all it takes is a spark to restart more than just an engine. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you believe in hope, humanity, and hidden heroes like Maya, make sure to subscribe for more real, emotional, and unforgettable stories that deserve to be heard. Subscribe now and be part of something bigger, one story at a time. Tap the bell so you never miss the moment a life changes forever.